So this is a Coil bottle, and this is a blended version of it. So I start off with a basic base, about a 3-inch piece of clay, and I'm wrapping up the bottom of it. And what I do is I slowly work my way outward, and I'm squeezing the clay down and pressing it together. Once I do that, then I'm going to blend in the inside to make sure that it's secure. And then once it's pretty secure, then I'm going to continue working my way up. I don't blend the outside quite yet, but you'll see that shortly. This process, as long as you have all your coils laid out, is pretty fast. What I like about coils is that as you're building, you can build and really change the shape. You can move it inward and outward fairly easily, depending upon where you place the coil above the next one. So if you place the coil directly above it, you're going to have a very straight side. However, if you take the next coil and then you put it slightly outside or slightly inside, you're going to be able to change the shape rather quickly. And so you can see right here with this next coil, I'm really starting to move outward. And so I'm about four and a half inches up at this point. And I did speed the video up a little bit, but not that much. It actually goes fairly quickly. And again, make sure that you're supporting it really well on the outside as you're blending it on the inside. So now I'm doing the opposite. I'm now bringing it back in so that coil bottle is now kind of turning more inward. And I'm not particularly worried about aesthetics. I just want to make sure that the walls have a nice transition, because all of this, when I'm finished, gets blended. So now I'm taking just an old credit card and supporting it now on the inside as I'm blending it on the outside. So all of those coils will soon disappear. So coils can be both an artistic technique, but they can also be a really excellent building technique. And this is more of a traditional approach to how people have been building ceramics for thousands of years. And I'm not making it perfectly smooth yet, but I am getting, trying to blend in the bulk of those coils. I do more smoothing a little bit later on. And the reason why I kind of stop about here is because it's easier to do it when it's wide open, to go ahead and just blend all of that. However, when it gets thinner and gets more narrow, it's going to be a lot harder for me to get my hands inside of it, so I try to do a lot of the work while I still can. And this is the part of the coil pot where I start to form the neck of the piece. So this piece right here is called the shoulder of a pot. So it's a transition from the belly of the pot, which is the wide part, and then narrowing it into the shoulder. And the shoulder then works its way up to the neck of the bottle. When we talk in ceramics, when we talk about kind of the anatomy of a pot, it really is an anatomical approach. We do mention feet and belly and neck and shoulders and even the head. So it is very anatomical. And it's getting that enclosed space, but I can still keep my hands inside of it. And I have to kind of switch to just a couple of fingers, as you can see there, because it's getting harder to get my whole hand in there. And so this particular technique, this is actually the same technique for the most part that I do with the Greek vessels. So in the springtime, when we make Greek vessels, it'll be quite a bit like this. You'll have really good practice by the time spring rolls around when we build Greek vessels. And so here you see I'm now doing the neck of the piece, and I'm just winding it up, kind of getting skinnier and skinnier. And the shape of your bottle can be different. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine. You can kind of play with the shapes and how coils can go in and out, and you can really do some interesting things with it. This is just more of a traditional form, and that's fine too. You know, you can't really see it, but I'm squeezing my fingers on the inside as well. I'm just kind of getting my thumb in there. And this is the last few little coils, so I'm building it back out again to kind of flare out the lip or the head of the piece. And that will give it that kind of finish touch for this bottle. So as you can see from watching this, it's a pretty fast process. Of course, please make sure that you do have your coils all ready to go. Don't waste your time by having to stop and do coils if you can help it. It's okay to have extra. You just want to make sure you have a nice big pile of them. And keep them in plastic, please, until you're ready to use them, or they will get really, really dried out. So I'm just kind of finishing up the credit card and smoothing it out, add a little water here and there when I need to. And it's still a little bit rough, and I'm going to be doing some more work on it kind of off camera to make it a little bit smoother and make the shape a little bit nicer, just kind of like rubbing it a lot and changing it, the shape, kind of molding it about. And then I'm going to transition after I probably worked on it for another, I don't know, half an hour off camera. And then I'm going to add a little thing on the outside to give it kind of an interesting texture and design. Okay, so here it is. After I worked on it a little bit more, still smoothing it out, getting some of the lumps and bumps. As you can see, the tools are pretty simple. It's, credit card, wooden stick, of course my hands. Doesn't take any complicated pieces of equipment to make this. So once I feel like it's fairly smooth and even, then I'm going to take this red mesh bag that I actually got from a grocery store, and I'm going to place it over it. And I found that the pattern of this kind of mesh fabric was really beautiful, so I decided to use it to decorate my coil pot. And taking the credit card and blending in those coils, that pattern, and really pressing that in. Kind of a fine texture. I want to make sure it's really in there. And then once that's finished, simply kind of take that texture out. It can be anything. This just happens to be something that I found. And you can see that it has this really beautiful pattern. Then it's just a matter of kind of cleaning it up and refining those edges.